Hi, everyone. I'm here with Beth Vandercock, and we're going to be talking a little bit about this week's readings and the creative process overall. Before we dive into some of the questions and ideas we would like to discuss, I wanted to give Beth a chance to tell us a little bit about herself. So, Beth, if you could tell us a little bit about your professional setting and your problem with practice.
Yeah, I teach at a mid-sized university in the Midwest, and I am an assistant reading professor. So my focus is on helping students learn how to teach reading, and my pop is generated from that position in that most of my students come from a white middle-class background, and yet they teach in real very diverse schools. So my problem of practice focuses on how to prepare pre-service teachers to teach reading comprehension to students from diverse cultural backgrounds.
Oh, that's amazing. My professional setting is actually a school that focuses entirely on recently arrived immigrant students. So that's very much in line with what I do. And thank you for preparing some of my potential future colleagues.
With pleasure.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's dive into it. I asked you to tell me two quotes from this week's readings that resonated with you the most. For your first quote, you chose, "The process of reusing, revising, and remixing a resource can be a key strategy, not only to develop creativity, but also to learn or access the same content in a multitude of different ways, taking into account that different learners had different styles." And this is from Tassito and Bodhi, the 2011 article. So my two questions for you are, can you give us an example of a time that you have worked in your professional setting to reuse, revise, or remix resources? And can you also tell us what factors were most important in facilitating the creative process?
Well, I'm going to give two examples, one
Great.
from my very first year of teaching and one from my current year of teaching. So in my very first year of teaching, there was a really thin budget, and I was given a quote-unquote collection of textbooks from different publishers with an abundance of text at some levels and very few at others. So I was supposed to teach reading, and I had this mix match of books, and there was no teacher manual. So from the very beginning of my career, I needed to revise and remix resources. And in this case, necessity prompted the creative process. I am very thankful that I had a solid reading instruction training in my undergraduate program, and I also collaborated with two professors. So we creatively generated ideas on how to use those books, but also to come up with ideas of how to find other texts. And currently, I'm revising several reading instruction techniques in my intervention. So from studies, I selected several reading instruction techniques, but as I am gathering data in my intervention and evaluating that data, I'm assessing my students' current knowledge and skills, and then I'm adapting those instructional techniques to match their point of need. And it's been unbelievably motivating to see how successful it is to teach right in that sweet zone of proximal development for them. And they've been really successful, not only learning it, but actually teaching it.
Great. That's really cool. For your second quote, you selected, "The clubhouse approach puts a high priority on developing a culture of respect and trust that values not only make the clubhouse an inviting place to spend time, but they are essential for enabling clubhouse youth to try out new ideas, take risks, follow their interests, and develop fluency with technology." Before you answer my questions, can you just give us a quick framing for the clubhouse within this quote, in case people don't remember this exact quote here?
Yes, this was a community program where they opened it up for students to learn technology, and they had some real unique tenets. And one of their tenets in their program was that this was going to be a program that was a place of trust and a place of respect. And I think that I found real intriguing is the authors claimed that many other programs and even education settings have looked at their tenets and said those tenets that you use for your community program would be really powerful for educational settings and other club settings.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Working with that immigrant population, I encounter a lot of traumatized humans. And I work very closely with my colleagues as well. So I very much agree that trust and respect are core components in a healthy learning environment, that's for sure. So my two questions are, how do you and your colleagues work to establish and develop trust and respect in your professional setting? And how do you think trust influences a person's capacity to be creative?
Yeah, so I'm going to be a little transparent in my answer.
Sure.
I would have said a year ago that there's a tremendous amount of trust in my team that I work with, and I actually think there is, but there was less than I thought there were. So last summer I took the Turnaround Leadership course at Johns Hopkins, and I had this assignment where I needed to create an empathy map on one of my colleagues, and so I was forced, quote unquote forced, to actually sit down and spend time with a new colleague and listen carefully and observe what she said and thought and believed about teaching in our department. And one theme from this project that came out was, even though she found the rest of my team members and myself to be warm and friendly and competent, but she said we were busy and we seemed unavailable. And then she said she felt a little isolated. So that really struck a chord with me. And so I had a long conversation with my chairman, and we've done some changes in our department to have some more collaborative projects, and also to have, as part of our staff meetings, some routines to build trust. And so and myself too, I've been really intentional to try to spend time with people, just to stop by people's doors and initiate conversation about their professional and private lives. And that's really had to pay out, but it's so challenging because there's so many demands, being in this program.
Yeah.
But I just was so convicted. I kept thinking, yeah. And another part of being in this program is I read an article by Brick, it was 2016, and he said from his experience, particularly with schools that had to make changes or wanted to do creative things, that trust was a balm to really motivate people, but also it was kind of this a balm to keep going. It kept people open to change, but also maintaining the change. Yeah. And I thought, wow, that's just something I feel like is so worthwhile investing in. And for the second part of your question, I would say that personally, I find when I'm in an environment where I feel there's a lot of trust, I'm much more apt to risk and experiment. And also when I'm in a safe setting, working with people who inspire me and support me, that motivates me to pursue excellence, and it energizes me to think divergently.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I really like how you describe trust as something that you can't take for granted and that you have to actively cultivate, and that can come in the form of workshops or active activities, strategically designed activities. It could also just be as simple as like grabbing a cup of coffee or checking in on someone too. Yeah, it's a really good way of putting it. Beth, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate your perspective on our readings for this week. Looking forward to working with you again in session 6.
Thank you.